Hi everyone, I'm Mama J. So today I would like to go over a corner to corner Graphgan pattern. I'm going to split this video into two parts. For today's video, I'm just going to go over understanding, reading the graph, how to work through the pattern, figuring out your bobbins, and keeping them organized. So one big challenge of crocheting a graph design is the bobbins. They can be cumbersome, they can get tangled, heavy, depending on how many you have feeding into the design. Okay, so let's look at the graph that I'm going to be using, and mind you, this is just a sample size. This is not going to be a full-size blanket. I made this pattern in Excel. I just set up the borders. I calculated the number of rows. I filled in the cells to draw out the flowers and just printed it. So this is just one way to make a graph pattern. You can buy graph paper, color in your design. You can buy designs, and they do have free graph designs that you can find online. So to read a graph pattern, you can go by the picture, which is what we're looking at here, or you can get that pattern in written form, and that's what this is here. So looking at the picture, if we look at row 1, and again, this is a corner to corner, this is not a horizontal row by row, we're going corner to corner. So if you look at row 1, we've got one white block. So you can see here that this is telling us we have one white block. Row 2, we have 2 white blocks. Row 3, we have 3. And row 4, we have 4. So that is the beginning of this corner to corner pattern. And you can see here how the two correlate together. Now with a graph pattern, you alternate going down and up. It doesn't matter if you start in the down or start in the up position. Just alternate from that point whichever direction you choose to start. You don't have to start in the bottom right corner. You can start in the left. It's just entirely up to you. This is just how I wrote my pattern out for what is comfortable for me. So I started in the downward motion. I'm going to continue increasing until my pattern is the size that I want it to be. And then, as with any corner to corner, when you get to the edge of where your width is, then you would start decreasing to square that off, but continue to increase if your pattern calls for it. So I do have another video on how to do a corner to corner pattern if you want to pop over to my channel and check that out. Those comments might make a little more sense to you if you're new to a corner to corner type of crochet. All right, so I'm going to move the written form for just a second, and we're just going to look at the graph here. So with my pattern, as I showed you in the written, I'm starting in that downward motion. So we're starting our first bobbin, which is going to be white, and that's going to get us row 1, which is down, row 2, which is up, row 3 is down, and row 4 is up. So now we're going to start row 5 that is down, and our white bobbin will have to stop here. We're not going to be able to carry this one all the way down to here because we would have to travel across these 3 green rows. So once you finish that row 5, or excuse me, you finish the row 4 and you start row 5, we're going to drop this strand. We're not cutting it, we're just dropping it. We're picking up this green bobbin here, and then we're going to need to pick another one up here. So this one, once we finish row 5, we're going to come back up, start row 6. This bobbin will drop again here. This green one we can pick up here because you're not going to see if a strand goes from top to bottom, bottom to top. And now this one, because we left off here, we'll be able to use that to fill in this. Then we'll be able to use this to fill in this, this to fill in this, so on and so forth. So once we've come up in this direction and we're coming down for 7, this one can continue up here. It will fill in this one, and then it will fill in this one as we continue those rows up. We're going to need a new bobbin here, because you're not going to be able to take the one from here or here and travel over, because again, you're going to see that strand. So you're going to reintroduce a bobbin here, and that's going to get you going that direction. Because our green has come up and has started going up this direction, we're going to need a new bobbin here. So because 6 is in the upward, 7 is down, so we've got another green bobbin here. This bobbin can go over to finish that row 7. This one will go over, go back up for 8. And because we've got a separate bobbin here, we can go up, and then that's going to get us to here, and then that one will take us to the top here. Looking a little further up, once you hit row 15, you may still have your white one that's working here, but this green one, you're not going to be able to use this for that. So you're going to have a new bobbin that goes here. This bobbin is probably going to be the one that's coming from here. This one you've got taken care of. And then as we hit row 17, we're bringing in the pink. This green is taken care of because we've got this one. And now we've got the white. We would have introduced a new bobbin down here. We're going to need a new one for here. This one will continue to fill all of this in until we hit another green section here, breaking that color. This one will probably fill in the majority of this. You're going to need a new green one here. This pink should get you all the way through that flower with the same bobbin. This white one that you've brought all the way up here will likely get all of this filled in. This bobbin is going to fill this in, but you're going to need one for here because again, you're not going to want to transfer over a color break. And this one is going to work pretty much the same as this one. Once you hit that center, your bobbin is going to take care of that entire row. You're going to need a new bobbin for this side over here. This bobbin will take care of those two. You're going to need a new pink one. You'll need a new green one for down here, a new green one for over here, a new white one for here. This white will fill all of this in. The white that we have down here that we left here will continue to fill into here. We'll probably need a new white one somewhere around in here. We're definitely going to need a couple of green here, a white one here, because this right here is the color break that gets you needing another bobbin in all of these right here. And then this bobbin here would act as this one did here and go all the way over. Now some of these may vary a little as you work through because again, the down, the up, the down, the up, that might change a little bit, but just giving you an idea of how to look at this and how to think, okay, well, I can't continue carrying that one because I don't want to bring that strand. Like if we've dropped a bobbin here and then we reintroduce a green one, this bobbin is not going to fill that block in. That block is going to need either its own bobbin or one that we've brought from down here. Okay? And then the same with this pink and this pink. Once you get those pinks brought in, you should be able to use the same bobbin. And then again, this one here, it's just going to keep working its way here until we get into that little corner. And then of course this white one would go here, could continue through all of this, and then work your way up there. All right, I know that's a lot of chicken scratch, but that just kind of gives you an indication of when you're marking your rows out, you're keeping track of where your bobbins are, and you can kind of understand now what I meant in the beginning, how these bobbins can become heavy, because if you've got 5 and 6 at a time that are hanging from your work, they're going to come undone, they're going to get tangled up within each other, and it can be a little difficult to keep them organized. So I'm going to show you some bobbin options. I got these on Amazon a couple of years ago, and I actually used these to make a large tulip blanket, but that's when I discovered that using these were more of a pain than they actually were helpful, because you wrap the yarn around them, you can tie the yarn through the loop to help secure it, but when that's hanging from your work and that yarn comes undone and they start turning and the yarn's getting tangled up within itself, I just find that these are more of a pain than they are helpful. So I prefer using something like this. I don't even think that this is an actual bobbin. It's just what I like to use. And I wrap the yarn around just one handle. I don't like to make huge bobbins. That's about the thickness that I would make and twist around that handle. So what I've done, and this is just my starting sample of the pattern that we were just looking at. This is the bottom right hand corner of where we've started row 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we've brought the green into row 5. But you can see here how clipping them on this would help keep those a little better organized. And then as you flip your work, those strands are going to start getting tangled if you don't have a little bit of security on the clips, or as I showed you in the other ones, if you're just holding this and you're letting them lay in your lap or wherever you're crocheting, you can see here where those strands would start getting tangled up within themselves. So what I like to do is just use this little board, and I'll explain in a second how I made that. This one is not attached, so we're going to get him out of the way. So now if I'm working in this direction, then I can just easily move my clips to where my strands are not crisscrossing each other. And then when you go to turn your work again, then you just move them around again, and then that just helps to secure. And if you choose not to use a board, these can clip to the piece that you're working on. When you're done, you can clip them to the edge of the table, to a blanket, or just whatever. I just find that these clips help me stay a little better organized. It's not as frustrating. I don't have all this weight of these in the yarn pulling against my blanket. When you're going from color to color to color, that can become a little annoying after a while of having that weight pull on your piece and having all the extra there. All right, so I'm just going to take this off and I'm going to explain this board to you a little bit. This is just a wooden round that you would make like a door hanger from. I, of course, had to use my Cricut to put my stuff on there. This is just a scrap wooden block that I have hot glued to the board. You can have a longer, even if you want to have this hanging off of the edge, that'll give you more space to clip on, again, depending on how many bobbins you're going to have active at one time. So if you don't have the round and you don't have a block of wood, this is the first one that I ever made. And you can see that this is a little bit thinner. I've gone over the edge a little bit so I would have more space. But again, this was just a craft piece of wood that I had laying around. And these were just little, almost like popsicle sticks. And then I just hot glued them together. And then I glued them down to the board. So that's just another idea of how to make that. And trust me, you cannot find these. And if you find one, let me know, because I have looked for these and even just looked for something similar and I've not been able to find it. So if you find something online similar to this, let me know. I would love to have one, but in the meantime, this does work well for me. All right, well, I hope this has been helpful for you, and please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I hope to have the next video drop next week, and I'm going to be working through the actual pattern. As you saw my sample here, I'll show you how we introduce the different color bobbins, how not to travel from one color to another. Like here, you're not going to want this white to lay over this green to fill this in. We're going to need a new bobbin here. So those are things that I'm going to show you actually working and crocheting out this pattern in the next video. So please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll know when that next video drops. So for now, I thank you for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye.